Than relationships.
Well, I'm the Assistant Director of Community Affairs.
I'm a student again. I'm back in school after a stint in real estate, and so I invested in some properties.
I work for the City of Fort Collins Neighborhood Services Office, and I've been working with the occupancy ordinance since the discussions started back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Because I knew that at least my household was an exception to the stereotype that's been projected of students and that's been projected of just more than 3 people living in a house in general. I mean, it's not only students that are affected by this, however, it's a vast majority of students that get in trouble for the violations in general. And there's already laws on the books, there's already existing laws that have the noise ordinance is already in place. You can't, there's already a limit to how many cars you can park. You can't block someone's driveway because that's their property. So there's already a lot of laws in place that I feel that 3 Unrelated is only just double enforcement on top of that.
So I've got the perspective of a student and a landlord, and I invested in a 4-bedroom property prior to enforcement of this law, before I even really knew about the law, and it's affected me in the fact that I can only rent to 3 people in a 4-bedroom house, and that economically it doesn't make sense for me. I have to lower the rent, to be able to get 3 people in there because I still need to pay my mortgage. So that's how it's affected me most. I also have another property that I live in that I used to rent 4 bedrooms out, and now I can't do that because
students, if there was 4-bedroom houses were allowed, I think a lot more landlords would have a higher proportion of their houses would be available to rent, and they could rent it out to whomever they wanted.
I was on a task force 2003 through 2005 looking at various code improvements to address neighborhood quality of life. Our department, specifically Neighborhood Service, does not enforce it, but we work really closely with the building inspection department, who has the housing inspector who enforces the ordinance. Our city council will have the tough decision of deciding if they want to make any changes to the ordinance. Our job is really to provide them with as much information as we can so that they can hear the various perspectives from all the different stakeholder groups so that they can make a good decision in the best interest of the community. So, like we gathered from today's roundtable discussion from students, as well as the Speak Out session back in April, we'll be able to help forward some of the student concerns and the student ideas for changes or solutions.
I completely agree with the city's side, and when they enforce the rule. I mean, it is annoying to be driving down a residential street and you see the eyesore property with trash littered among the tall thriving weeds, and it's an eyesore, and I completely agree with the city on the fact that they need to do something about it. I just think that they went about it the wrong way. I mean, basically that's stating that pretty much all college students are gonna ruin a property.
The City Council work session to discuss this, to listen to all of the stakeholder input, and also to have the policy discussion to decide if they want us to look at any changes and bring that information back, is going to be on October 27th. That is a work session, so it's limited to council participation, staff, but it's open to anyone to watch.